Grade 7s, happy Friday. We finally got rain, and it's finally going to bring down the humidity. So here's hoping. So today we are continuing on with adding integers. So we've done adding integers with a number line. Today we are going to learn how to add integers without the aid of a number line. Because as you can probably tell by looking, once you go past 10, 15 on a number line, it gets really tedious to draw out. Also, how do you deal with really big numbers? As in, how am I gonna do like negative 115 plus positive 77? That's gonna be a lot to draw on a number line. And I don't really want to spend the entire day and endless sheets of paper taped together to try to draw out a number line that big. So today we're going to learn some tricks of the trade of how to do it without. So let's start off with our review. We have negative 5 plus positive 3. Remember, because we have that invisible plus sign in front of a number that doesn't have a negative. So I know negative 5, I find it on the number line right here. And I know that if they're matching symbols, I'm going to the right. So matching symbols, I go to the right this many spaces, 1, 2, 3. I end up at negative 2. Negative 7 plus negative 2. So first of all, find negative 7, which is right here. And I'm adding a negative number, which means those symbols are opposite. Opposite means I go left, meaning I go 1, 2 spaces to the left, and I end up at negative 9. Now I have positive 5 plus positive 4. This is basically just a regular addition problem. 5 plus 4 equals 9. Now I have positive 3 plus negative 8. So I find positive 3 on my number line, and I'm adding a negative, meaning I go to the left, and I go to the left 8 spaces, as in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I end up at negative 5. And there we are. So quick review, you guys did absolutely amazing with this. I think most of you got like perfect or near perfect. And honestly, good job. Integers are very tough, especially when you're just starting out with them and you're getting used to them. It can be quite difficult. So awesome. All right, adding integers continued, this time without a number line. Let's start off with this problem here. Negative 13 plus negative 18. Normally, our steps are first plot out the first number on the number line and then deal with which direction I'm going and how many spaces I'm going. This time we don't have a number line. So now I don't have to worry about plotting my first number on the number line. What I am doing is, first of all, look at my symbols here. They are opposite, meaning I know I'm going to go to the left. So if I was plotting this on a number line, I know I'm going to the left. So negative 13, if I'm going further left and I have negative 13, that means that negative 13 is decreasing in value. As in, remember, whatever number is, if you have negative numbers, between two negative numbers, whichever one's closer to 0 has a higher value. For example, negative 13 has a higher value than negative 18 because negative 13 is closer to 0. So in this case, if I'm going left and I know my 13 is decreasing in value and it's getting further and further away from 0, what you do if you have two negatives added together, so the rule of two negatives added together is you take these negative numbers in front of the 2, this negative and this negative here, and just cross them out. They cancel each other out. All right. Now I have 13 plus 18. 13 plus 18 gives me 31. However, remember, I said our negative 13 is decreasing in value. Positive 31 is bigger, is much bigger than negative 13. It has to be less. So what I do is I take those negatives that I had before, I just take one of them and put it back on and just tag it back on. So 2 negatives. So if I have a negative plus a negative, negatives cancel each other out. Then you just add the two numbers together as normal. Then you put one negative number back, and then that equals a negative number. All right. So that is that part. And today, don't worry, you're still going to be dealing with some smaller numbers. There's nothing too crazy or outlandish. It's not like I'm giving you like 1,118 plus negative 586. You're not dealing with crazy outlandish numbers. We're going to be dealing with numbers, I think the highest it goes is up to 20. So nothing too crazy. It's just getting used to the rules of how to add integers when there's no number line to aid you. All right, now we have negative 18 plus positive 12. I don't have to worry about plotting my 18, and I'm adding a positive number because remember I have the invisible plus sign right here. I'm going to the right, meaning this negative 18 is going up in value because I'm going to the right. What that means is I take my 18, and here's the rule. You look at your two numbers here. Ignore the symbols in front of them. Just for now, ignore the symbols. I have 18 and 12. 18 is bigger than 12. I know negative 18 and positive 12. I know positive 12 is a bigger value. In this case, I'm looking at just the number by itself, ignoring the symbol for just a second. 18 is bigger than 12. What this means is I have a negative number and I'm adding a positive number. It's getting closer to 0. Meaning I actually do a subtraction. I do 18 minus 12. This is because 18 minus 12 is equal to 6. This is because 6 is much closer to 0 than negative 18 is. Remember, I'm getting closer to 0 with this problem. So I have a negative plus a positive number. If this negative number is bigger, as in the number just by itself, ignoring the fact that it is a negative number, just the number by itself, like let's say I had 7 and 5, 7 is a bigger number than 5. Meaning I take that 7 and I subtract 5, and then I stick a negative in front of it. So this gives me negative 6, because if I were to plot this out in a number line, I've had negative 18 over here. I'm adding 12, meaning I'm going to the right. So I'm going boom, 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 so many spaces. I'm going 12 spaces to the right. However, am I going to get all the way to 0? No, I'm getting closer to 0 because even if I add 12 to this negative 18, I'm just getting closer to 0. But I'm not getting past 0 or anything like that. So in this case, the easiest way to do so is just to subtract 18 and 12. Okay? I know it's tricky to get used to, so it takes some practice. Again, like I said, the biggest numbers you're dealing with are like up to 20 today. If you need a number line, if you need to draw one out to help you out, do so. Absolutely. I have no problem. It's just I want you guys to get used to adding and subtracting integers without that aid of a number line, because once you get past 20, it just becomes very unrealistic to draw one out. All right, so now I have negative 5 plus 21. I don't have to worry about plotting negative 5, but I'm adding a positive number, so this is going to the right. Now, here's where this differs from the last question. I can't do 5 minus 21 like I did with this here. Like I subtracted the 2, I can't do that here. Because 5 is smaller than 21. Again, ignoring the symbols just for a second. What this means is if I were to have this on a number line, if 0 was here and negative 5 was over here, and I'm adding 21 points to it, it's going to go past that 0. So this means I take the bigger number, which is 21 in this case. 21 is bigger than 5, ignoring the symbols. 21 is bigger than 5. What I do is I take 21 minus 5, and this gives me 17. However, remember, like I had this number line here. Remember how I said I'm going past 0? That means I'm getting into the positive region. That means this number is actually going to be a positive number, right? So I went past the 0. So basically what I did is I took 21, I took 5 points away from it to get that negative 520. And now I'm figuring out how many points past that 0 I'm going. Right? Again, it takes time. It's difficult when you first start getting used to it. I think integers is one of the hardest units for most students. It takes time. All right? It takes time to get used to looking at the numbers and getting used to the characteristics behind them and why you move a certain direction or why a certain thing happens when you do it on it, when you add or subtract integers. All right. Positive plus a positive, I really don't need to go over it. It's basically 22 plus 17. That's all it is. It's just because you can just treat that like a regular addition problem. You're at a positive number, you're adding more to it. Just a regular addition problem. All right. Positive plus a negative number. All right. Let's do the second problem first. So 22 plus negative 8. Look at my symbols. I'm adding a negative, meaning I'm going to the left on a number line. What is happening here is I have a positive 22. So if I have a number line here, 22 is somewhere over here. If I'm going to the left, this 22 is losing value, as in it is decreasing. Meaning, what I am doing is actually doing 22 minus 8. Because I know that this 22 is decreasing because positive plus a negative is opposite, meaning I go to the left. 22 is losing value. So what I do in this case is I just do 22 minus 8. 22 minus 8 is 14. And that's it. It's positive 14 because remember, 22 is much bigger than 8. It's not going to go past the 0. It's still going to stay in the positive region. It's just losing value. So instead of having $22, I lost $8. So the best way I like to think about this is, let's say I got $22 from a friend who owed me money, but then I owed someone else $8, so I took $8 from that 22. So in this case, I can just treat it like kind of a subtraction. All right, now we have 18 plus negative 30. I have two opposite symbols, meaning I go left. This 18 is going to be decreasing in value. However, this one differs from the last question because look, 30 is much bigger than 18. So if I have this plotted out on a number line, 18 was somewhere over here, and I added negative 30, meaning I know I'm going left, and I go 30 spaces to the left, I know I'm going past the 0. What happens in this case is you can do it, the easiest way to really do it is to take 18 minus 30. Right? So you take your positive number, you minus 30, and you're going to end up with your negative number. And it's supposed to be negative because we know we're going past the 0. So even if you were to punch this into a calculator, you do 18 minus 30, it'll even give you the negative number. So 18 minus 30, it gives me negative 12. There's one way to do it. The other way to do it is to take 30, your bigger number, minus 18, which gives you 12, and then just stick a negative in front of it. Just take the negative from the 30 and just stick it in front of your answer. So that's one where those are the two different ways to do it. Okay? The big thing I want you guys to get used to is if you have a positive number and you're adding a negative number that's normally a bigger number, so like in this case 18 and 30, 30 is bigger. You have to know when you're going to go past a 0 when you're dealing with integers. That's why it can get a little bit tricky. If I'm adding negative 30 to 18, I know 30 is a bigger number than 18. Disregarding the symbols, I know I'm going to go past the 0. Okay, so think about it in terms of small numbers. Let's say this is negative 5, 0, positive 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's think about this with smaller numbers. I have positive 3 plus negative 7. That 7 is bigger than 3. So I have positive 3, and I'm going to the left because those are opposite symbols, 7. I know I'm going to go past the 0. So this is where I want you guys to get used to this idea is looking at the numbers and looking at which direction you're going. Are you going past the 0 at any point? That's where you have to really put in the rules. And that's where you have to really notice and take a look at judging where you're going to end up. So in this case, let's look at this problem here. Negative plus a negative, no problem. That negative just continues to decrease in value. All I can do is just add those two numbers together. So negative plus a negative, add the two numbers together. So add your two negatives together and then just stick a negative in front of the answer. That one's easy enough. Negative plus a positive. You're usually doing some sort of subtraction, but it depends on whichever number is bigger. Take your bigger number and you subtract your smaller number, disregarding the symbols. So obviously negative 12 is bigger than negative 18, but in this case, you don't worry about it. So that's where you have to kind of get used to the rules. I encourage you, I know it's not going to be easy. Okay? I know the first time around dealing with integers and trying to go past a 0 line is not easy. You're going to have some easy questions today. I think, again, like I said, the highest number goes up to 20. If you need to use a number line, use a number line. But I need you to understand which direction you're going in, why you're getting a certain answer. Because yes, you could just punch these numbers into a calculator and it'll give you the answer. But you have to understand the logic reason why. Think about it this way. If I owe someone $50 and then I owe another someone $18, how much money do I owe altogether? I owe $68 altogether. All right. Let's say it is negative 5 degrees out at night, and then during the day it skyrockets in temperature and it goes up by 21 degrees. You're going to go past 0. You're going to go past freezing. Right? So you have to really judge these numbers. All right. Email me if you have any questions whatsoever. Like I said, you're dealing with some easier numbers today because I know it's tricky the first time around. So email me if you have any questions. Google form and PDF are going to be available to you. They're just going to be basic adding integer problems. Like I said, smaller numbers, just this time without a number line. All right. Thank you guys. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. I'll see you guys on Monday. And otherwise, that's it. All right. Bye there.